setting boundaries with ourselves. It all begins with you. You need to bring a healthy and whole version of yourself to the relationship to give the relationship the best possible chance at success. You have to take responsibility for yourself and for your life. This step alone makes you about 50% less argumentative. Set your standard with regards to how you speak, what you say, where you go, what you wear. We have to know our limits and be able to say no and be comfortable with saying no without having to give an explanation. Yo, good morning, friends and family. You don't know, it's your boy Darren coming at you again with some more of the worst relationship advice ever. You definitely should not listen because I'm just talking off the top of my head. I am not formally trained, and most of what I've done is read books. Yes, I've read some books and I've taken away some bits of wisdom that I'm now trying to bring to you. In our last episode, we would have started talking about boundaries, and what boundaries are, and the fact that boundaries are not walls. Oftentimes people may have that misconception. But boundaries are really intended to keep the lines of communication open between us and our partners and to keep that communication healthy, and really it's all there to help us keep the relationship going. We want our relationships to continue, for us to make it till death do us part. Really want to reduce the whole heap of breakups and divorce and separation. All of that is really not healthy for our souls, and so we want to reduce that as much as possible. And so today's episode we'll be continuing on the topic of boundaries, and specifically we're going to be talking about setting boundaries with ourselves. Set your standard. So yes, it all begins with you. The type of relationship you want, right? The beauty, the fun, the communication, everything that you want out of your relationship, it begins with you. You need to bring a healthy and whole version of yourself to the relationship to give the relationship the best possible chance at success. And so if you've been struggling in your relationships and kind of going from relationship to relationship, and if you've been blaming the other person, blaming your exes for why things didn't work out, and kind of having that type of negative and pessimistic attitude come out of that because you're jaded, then I would say you have not even begun the journey of self-development and healing. It really does begin with you. You have to look into yourself. Yes. So speaking about boundaries in relationships, we need to understand that respect is a part of love. Yes. And so you need to know that in your quest of attracting people and being likable, most of us are predisposed to saying yes. Somebody who we like asks us to do something for them, or to even cross one of our own personal boundaries. We have the tendency to say yes. Yes attracts likability. We want to be liked. However, it is no that attracts respect. It's wonderful when we are loved for our compliance, but it is crucial that we are loved in the midst of saying no to the people who we are in relationship with. We should be able to get love whether we are saying yes or no, and we should feel confident enough to be able to say no to our loved one and they not run away, turn away, give us a cold shoulder, punish us for our no, right? So setting personal boundaries for yourself that you will uphold puts you in a better position to set boundaries with your loved one. And the more your boundaries are effective with your loved one, is the more you preserve respect within your relationship. The more you're able to preserve respect is the more authentic the love within the relationship will be. I say yes, that's why I say it begins with you. How your relationships are playing out may partially be how you are showing up in the relationship in a way that is either improving the level of respect you're receiving or decreasing the level of respect that you're receiving. I'll say yes. Coming from my own personal experience, I've been told that, I lack backbone. I've been told that I sometimes can be a pushover. I can be a nice guy, and I've definitely grown out of that now, and I've come into a higher level of self-confidence and self-assuredness. And of course, that has come with, time and self-reflection, and the reading of books. Yeah, but I'm now trying to bring this information to you so that you can do the same. So when it comes down to setting personal boundaries, we have to understand that we are doing this so that we give ourselves a better chance of having success in future relationships. And there's 4 steps to setting personal boundaries. The first step that you want to take is take responsibility. Yeah, take responsibility for yourself and for your life.
I got responsibilities now. Responsibilities?
As my manager would often say to me, if it is to be, it is up to me. I only have control over myself. I don't have control over anybody else, right? And we all understand that if there's difficulty in a relationship, it's not always just one person's fault. Oftentimes, it's both persons' fault to different levels, different degrees. And so you have to take responsibility for yourself and for your life. This step alone makes you about 50% less argumentative. Yeah. Because you're more likely to take accountability for your actions. You're more likely to be less defensive and less attacking and less accusatory when it comes on to communicating with your partner. All in all, it makes you less combative. And the less combative you are, is the more productive your conversations can be. So that's the first step of, setting boundaries with yourself. It's take responsibility for your life. It is nobody else's fault but your own. This empowers you to make the necessary adjustments and changes that will give your next relationship a better chance at success. You see me? Next is step 2, and that is solidify your moral beliefs. Now, for many of us as Christians, we have varying moral beliefs. Some people believe in eating pork, some people don't. Some people believe that the Sabbath is a Sunday, some people believe it's a Saturday. Some people believe we should only listen to worship music, some people believe it's okay to listen to Christian music that is not necessarily worship music. Some people believe that women should always wear skirts and dresses. Well, you have some Christian women who are more comfortable with wearing pants. And so there are varying belief systems within or the body of Christ. What is your belief? Whatever your belief is, believe it truly, like through and through, and hold on to it and stand firm on it. This will influence how you go about choosing who is going to be your partner. If somebody comes along and is challenging you on your belief, is arguing against your belief, is trying to sway you from your belief, more than likely this person is not for you, and that is okay. Keep in mind, we can only marry one person, and we best get it right. We best get it right, because if you marry the wrong person, it will literally be hell on earth. And so this whole idea of being very self-aware and very in tune with your own moral beliefs, not only having them but understanding why you have them, being able to explain your disposition on a deep level, solidifies your disposition and makes it harder for a person to emotionally manipulate you from your position and sway you, And so yes, if you want to be strong when it comes down to setting boundaries in your relationships, you have to know why you believe what you believe and be able to hold on to your belief firmly. Step number 3 is decide, on what you will do or not do, where you will go, not go, where you will, what you will say and not say, and what you will wear and not wear. Yeah. Because how you show up physically definitely plays a role in the level of respect you get up front. If you want to come across as a person who is important and who is intelligent, you want to dress well. Yeah, put yourself together well, smell good, look good. You want to speak well, right? You don't want to be using too much profane language, especially as a Christian, No unclean language should be coming from our lips anyway, right? And of course, if you want to attract a certain type of person, then you have to be a certain type of person. You have to have standards. And the higher your standards is the easier it is for you to sift out the people who are not for you. And I tell you this, it's better to be single and at peace with who you are and what you're about than to be trying to force to be in a relationship with somebody just to say you have somebody. It's not worth it. You know what I'm saying? And I tell you, whatever standard you have, more than likely there's somebody else within your local church or church otherwise who has the same belief. You just have to be patient and the Lord will eventually cause your paths to cross. Don't become impatient and start changing how you speak or changing how you show up in order to be with somebody. No, that's not healthy. You know what I'm saying? So yes, set your standard with regards to how you speak, what you say, where you go, what you wear. All of these things will influence how other people view you. And people will know, even up front, that you are a no-nonsense person and that you're not going to be compromising your standard to please nobody, right? And the 4th step is to develop a healthy relationship with the word no. Yeah. I know for a lot of us as Christians, because we want to, be helpful and be of service, we want to be used by the Lord, especially within the church community, to be a blessing to others. We have the tendency to say yes to everything, yes to go into the youth rally, yes to being involved in the drama group and the dance group and the choir, and to lead Sunday school and to preach and to go out and evangelize and to be an usher. If you don't mind, Sharp, some of us will say yes to it all, just to, pour out ourselves for the sake of the community. But no, we need to know our limits. We need to know that there are only 24 hours in a day, 7 days in a week, and my responsibilities don't only lie with church, but also with other places, work, school, home, And so we have to know our limits and be able to say no and be comfortable with saying no without having to give an explanation. Yeah, we do not necessarily owe everybody an explanation. And whenever we are giving an explanation, it's our effort to try and get them to understand where we're coming from. It's to make ourselves seem less of a bad person. But really, there's nothing bad about saying no and doing what's best for your mental health so that you can show up in the way you need to show up in all dispensations. Right? As I said earlier, no attracts respect. And so when you're able to say no, to somebody who may be trying to push your boundaries, that's a good thing. Now, of course, for a relationship to work, there has to be some yeses in there, right? You don't want to necessarily block yourself off from other people, right? And sometimes we do take some persuasion when it comes on to the things that are intended to improve us, intended to make us better. A friend may be encouraging us to do a particular thing that is really in our best interest. They have our best interest at heart, but from our perspective, we can't see it. Or from our perspective, we just can't bother. We're tired, we're lazy, and so we're saying no. In that instance, no, I think our friends and family should be persuasive and should try to push us past our no, to do the things that take us outside of our comfort zones and may bring us to a whole new level of growth. The no I'm speaking to here is more so a no against breaking our own morality. Things that may cause us to go against our moral code, or things that we have analyzed for ourselves that will be detrimental to us in the long run. Yeah? We need to be able to say no to that and stand firm on our no. So yeah, those are the 4 steps to setting your own personal standards. Next, what I want to talk about is discipline. Now, discipline is the highest form of self-love. And what discipline is all about is setting a boundary with yourself. Right, this is some actions that you're gonna do, or some things that you're not gonna do, regardless of how you may feel, regardless of the circumstances. You're gonna do your best to follow through with whatever decision that you're taking. And the more disciplined you are in life, is the more success you will have. The more success you have, is the more confidence you develop. The more confidence you develop is the more assured you are of yourself when you say no. Right? So firmer, more sure-footed your no will be. And the more sure-footed your no is the more respect you attract within your relationship. Yeah. So you see how it's like a domino effect? Yeah. And so if you are an indisciplined person, that is an area of development that you need to work on. And you can start small. You can say, okay, I am going to brush my teeth twice a day or 3 times a day. You can start there. And as you develop the consistency of that, developing that habit, that discipline, you can then now add another small thing to that. And as you develop that discipline of the other small thing, you can now have more confidence in approaching bigger things. A lot of us lack discipline, and it's why we're kind of aimlessly drifting through life, not really going anywhere, because we probably lack vision. We're not really on a mission, and we're kind of just going with the flow. And that in and of itself can cause frustration, not only for you, but also for the person that you're in relationship with, especially if you're a man. Women are looking to us as men to lead. And at the very core of leadership is discipline. You have to be able to lead yourself if you want to lead somebody else. Now, if you are indisciplined, you will have difficulty setting boundaries in your relationship. Because how are you now going to get another person to yield to your boundaries when you can't even get your own emotions to yield to your boundaries? Oftentimes, we decide that we're going to do a thing, and then we allow our emotions or moods to tell us to do the thing or not to do the thing. But we know that it is within our best interest to do the thing, But then we're going to get up and say, boy, I'll put it off to another day. I'll procrastinate because I'm not in the mood. And then when that comes back and bites us in the butt, we're frustrated with ourselves. And we say, life is hard and life is unfair and yada, yada, yada. And really and truly, it all began with our indiscipline. So yes, you will not be able to set and hold the line on boundaries in your relationship if you are not a disciplined person with yourself. And so if that's an area where you're lacking, that's something you're gonna have to work on. Now, as you become more disciplined and setting boundaries with yourself, you become a lot more sure-footed when it comes down to setting boundaries with your partner. Yeah? And so you want to take your boundaries to your relationship, because a person who is for you is going to be in agreement with some of the boundaries you may have. Let's say, for example, you want to wait until marriage before becoming sexually active. If a person is trying to push you on that boundary, then you already know that person is not for you. All right? If you are seeking to be disciplined in this way, and a person is trying to take you off of that path, then person is not for you. Right? Trust me, the more acquainted you are with your own personal standards, is the easier it will be for you to decipher who is for you and who isn't. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of it, right? A lot of the uncertainty that can accompany, trying to cultivate a relationship. A lot of that uncertainty can be cut out the more sure you are about who you are and what you stand for. Yeah, man. As I would have said in step 3 about deciding what you will do, where you will go, how you will be, that will now influence what boundaries you take to your relationship with regards to arguments and discussions. You want your discussions to remain respectful and positive and solutions oriented, then you will have to keep the disrespect to a minimum. Or in order to do that, you have to be the type of person that decides that, hey, no matter what, I am not somebody who raises my voice. I am not somebody who stonewalls. I am not somebody who uses condescending tones, or I'm not a person who is sarcastic. I want to have this in my relationship. And this is what I am going to do to cultivate a healthy relationship. Once you have those things solidified in your mind, you can bring that now to your relationship and lead your partner in how to go about difficult conversations in a way that both of you can feel loved and respected, and that a possible solution can come about that can be mutually beneficial. But when you do not set that boundary with yourself and you kind of allow your emotions to dictate how you speak, how you show up, what you do when you're angry, then no, it'll be very difficult for you to avoid arguments, or to prevent arguments, I should say, right? So yes, when it comes down to boundaries, it all begins with you. How you show up in your relationship will determine how much respect you're able to garner from your partner. And how much your partner respects you will determine how well your boundaries will have an effect on the positive communication in the relationship. Yeah, man. So, it's Easter time, and we're at the end of this podcast episode. In our next episode, we are going to be talking more about boundaries in relationship, right? And setting certain boundaries in relationship to preserve the relationship from outsiders and also from the negative influence of trauma between you and your partner. So yes, that brings us to the end of this episode on boundaries with yourself, setting your own standards. And as you know, it is Easter time. We're celebrating Easter. Big up to everybody out there who loves Jesus. And I'm going to now be sharing with you a poem. Some of you may know that I am a poet. I'm a bit rusty, but I would like to share with you a poem just in celebration of Jesus and the sacrifice he made for us all those years ago to save us from our sins and to give us hope in this life. All right? So up next is a poem entitled Jesus. Hope you enjoy it. Be blessed. Jesus, from heaven he came to bear the pain of sin and shame. He gave his life for the weak and lame. His flesh felt the heat of flames. His story blazes across the earth like a wildfire, but the sinners try to keep it tame because they can't fathom a love like this. A love that is completely selfless. A love that would turn this world into a beautiful mess if only everyone would embrace it. I'm talking about Jesus, the one who touched the untouchable and spoke the unspeakable. He did the impossible to redeem the unredeemable. He came to save the very people who rejected him. For the passions of this world, the pleasures of sin, he took on flesh and was put to death. But then 3 days later, he breathed the breath that put death to death, so that death no longer has power and authority. We no longer have to live in poverty because his spirit gives life and life abundantly. I'm talking about Jesus. He is the author of our faith. It is through him that we are saved by grace. No amount of works can save our space because the sight of our sin burns God's eyes like mace. All we have to do is believe and be received into his loving arms, turn from our sin, and embrace the Holy Spirit that rests within. He came to show the way, the light of day. And even when he was on the cross, his love for us was not lost. This is a prayer he prayed. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. He could have easily taken himself off the cross and said, screw you, but instead he took screws for you. He bore the pain and shame. He gave his life for the weak and lame. His story blazes across the earth like a wildfire, but the sinners, they try to keep it tame because they can't fathom a love like this. A love that is completely selfless. A love that would turn this world into a beautiful mess if only everyone would embrace it. I'm talking about Jesus. Amen.